Was good, y'all? Rich Sosa back in the building with another banger, man. Now, first things first, before we get started, thank you, God, for another day and another opportunity. Thank y'all, the Rich family. And as y'all can see from the looks of the title and the screen today, I'm going to be bringing y'all the very best Season 9 lockdown build to use on NBA 2K22 current gen. But before that, y'all already know what y'all need to do. Be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Now go ahead and turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family. And let's go ahead and reach 50 likes on today's video. So, we're going to go ahead and make this lockdown build out of the shooting guard position. And this is actually, in my opinion, the best shooting guard and new meta to use for Season 9. Now, we're going to go ahead and make this build out of the playmaking as well as defensive pie chart. Now, with this pie chart, we're going to be able to get contact dunks, pro dribble moves, and when it comes to the takeover, we're also going to be able to get the lock as well. Now, as for the physical profile, I feel like this is going to make the biggest difference in which way you decide to go about it. Now, for my liking, I would say the fourth one is going to be the best. When it's all said and done, we're going to be able to get a 99 speed, so it really makes no difference if you go with the first one unless you're looking at the acceleration and vertical. Now right here, I like the fact that we get an 88, same thing for the acceleration and an 89 speed. Now once we go ahead and get into the breakdown of this build, all you need to do is follow along and everything is going to come out perfectly. So to start out with the finishing, I'm going to max out the close shot, driving layup as well as the driving dunk. Then when it comes down to our standing dunk, what I'm going to do is bring this up to where we're going to be able to get a total of 9 finishing badges. Now if you want to go ahead and get anywhere from 9 to 12, that's going to be perfectly fine, but again, you may get a different build name if you go about it that way. Now let's go ahead and get into the shooting and see what we're going to be able to do. So with the mid-range, I'm going to go ahead and max this out. When it comes down to the three-pointer, go with a 66, 82 for the free throw. Then for the post fade, what I'm going to go with is pretty much to where I'm going to be able to get 9 shooting badges here as well. Now, one thing that we really need to consider is the extra badges that we're going to be able to unlock since we are in Season 9. Now, if you have unlocked only 1 badge or all the way up to 9, go ahead and add in the count. And right here, we're going to go ahead and also upgrade that post fade. Leave it at 50, but if you want to go ahead and change the numbers, that's perfectly okay. Now for the playmaking, I'm going to go with an 85 pass accuracy. When it comes down to the ball handle, go with an 85 here as well. Then for the post control, I'm going to go with the 42, and that's going to give us a total of 20 playmaking badges. Now, only though that we have a total of 124 attributes remaining, we're going to be able to get a total of 14 defensive badges out of this build. Now, let's go ahead and say that we have 9 extra badges to be able to use on this build. Imagine putting 3 towards the finishing, 3 towards the shooting, then go ahead and put the rest towards the defensive. That's going to be a pretty overpowered build unless you want to go ahead and just put them all into the shooting or all into the defensive area. Super different way to go about it, but I'm telling you, if you have extra badges, really going to change the way that you're going to be able to use and look at this build. Now we're going to have a total of 4 extra attributes remaining and left over, so if you feel like you want to go ahead and throw these into a certain area of this build, go ahead and do so, but I highly recommend keeping everything as is, like I'm showing y'all right now. But when it comes down to the physicals, we're going to go ahead and see what this build is going to be able to do, and I'm telling you, we're going to be able to get a boost towards our physicals. Then when it comes down to hitting 99 overall on this build, going to make it even better. And especially with the rebirth, I would have to say this is probably the best rebirth build to make right now. If you're going to be playing 2K22 all season, then you want to grind it out on a new build, this is the perfect one to work with. Now when it comes down to the body shape, I'm going to go with built or burly just to take up more space on the defensive end. Now if you want to go with compact or something else like defined, that's perfectly okay, but I want to be able to take up the most space just to help out on the defensive end. Now when it comes down to the height, normally I would go with 6'6" or even 6'7" for my builds, but for this one I'm going to leave it at 6'5". That's not going to affect any area of this build, which is going to be perfect. Now once we go ahead and get into the weight, that's what's really going to work with us when it comes down to our speed. So pretty much if you want to go ahead and go with a different height, you can go with 6'6" or even 6'4", but for my liking I'm going to keep it right in the middle. Now for the weight, if you want to go with the lowest, that's perfectly okay. I'm going to go with 176, and if you decide to go with anything higher, that's going to start to affect the physicals, and that's the number one thing that I do not want happening with this build. Now, pretty much right here, we're going to be able to get a 92 speed, 91 acceleration with an 88 vertical. Now, for the wingspan, this is what's going to give us the contact dunks once we get to 99 overall. So as you can see, if you max it out at 86.0, we're going to be able to get an 81 driving dunk. And right there, if you go ahead and add the +4, we get an 85 driving dunk, which will give us the contact dunks. Now, consider getting the +4 on this build towards our physicals. Then if you get that gym rat badge, that's a +8. And if you're running with teammates that do have on floor general and defensive leader, both on Hall of Fame, that's going to give us a total of +12 towards our main attributes. So go ahead and really consider what this build is actually looking like. We have a 99 speed if it's all said and done, maxed out on this build. Then the same thing for the acceleration. And if you want to go ahead and count in the vertical, we're going to be able to get a 96. Now for the finishing, you have a lot of different areas on this build that we're going to be able to get to 99 on, especially if you add in the +10 that we're going to be able to get from the takeovers. So we get the lockdown, then we get the playmaking, also going to be able to use the slashing. We already do get contact dunks, so I would highly recommend picking either the lockdown or the shot creating. Now the playmaking is solid because we're going to be able to break ankles out of it as well, but I would rather go with getting a shooting boost as well as the shot creating takeover to still be able to do the same exact thing. Now again, whichever takeover you decide to pick, go based off your own playstyle. And as you can see, we have created the two-way playmaker, and I'm telling you, this is a low-key catfish build because it does a little bit of everything, especially on the defensive end, but then we get every single dribble animation that we want to use, especially when it comes down to the contact dunks. Then also with the shooting, you're going to be able to hit pretty efficiently on this build with all the boosts taken into consideration. Now, my favorite thing about this build is that we get a 99 speed at 6'5", but also a 91 acceleration plus the 8, which gives it a 99 with a 96 vertical. Now this is honestly one of the best builds that I have brought to y'all, especially to end off the year. But let's go ahead and get started with the defensive badges. So we have 14 badges right here to work with. For my liking, I would go with Intimidator on Hall of Fame just to start things out. And this really reminds me of a Jordan build, but there are a lot of different people that you can compare it to as well. Now, especially if you're looking to make one of the best all-around builds, I would say to end off the year, in my opinion, this is the #1 build to work with. Now, as for these badges, the two essential defensive ones that I'm going to work with will be Intimidator as well as Clamps. Now, what I did was spread the wealth a little bit, going with Rim Protector on Silver. Same thing for Chase Down Artist, and then from here, I'm going to go with Interceptor at least on Bronze. Then for the final badge I'm going to put on is Tireless Defender. Now, let's go ahead and get into the finishing badges. We have a total of 9 to work with. From here, you can pretty much go about it based off of your own preference. For my liking, I'm going to go with Posterizer on Gold as well as Limitless Takeoff. Now, this is low-key not only a Jordan build, but a Scottie Pippen build, Kobe Bryant build, a little bit of everything, which is why I say, in my opinion, this is the best build to end the year off with. Now, as for these badges, just remember you can always go based off your own preference. For my liking, I'm going to go with Fearless Finisher on Gold, one of the best finishing badges to use all year. Now, let's go ahead and get into the shooting, a total of 9 badges to work with here. For my liking, I'm going to go with first, Hot Zone Hunter as well as Sniper. Now, if I'm being honest, these two badges pretty much ran the shooting meta all year, especially when it comes down to giving you a shooting boost. But as when it comes down to the next few badges that I'm going to throw on, you can pretty much spread the wealth here if you want to go about it that way. I would really consider at least going with Green Machine on Bronze. Then from here, I'm going to go with Silver Blinders, and this is a pretty good setup to go with as well. Now, let's go ahead and edit off with going into the playmaking badges. So we get a total of 20 to work with. Now, there are going to be a few different ways to go with, but I'm going to go with first, Hall of Fame handles for days. Then from here, also tight handles, just so we're able to break ankles. Now, when it comes down to the next 3 Hall of Fame badges, one that I would consider would be Floor General. Then from here, if you want to, I definitely would say Hyperdrive is going to be the 3rd essential badge to work with on this build. Now, I'm going to spread the wealth just a little bit, going with silver, bullet passer, as well as quick chain. Then for the final Hall of Fame badge, you can pretty much base this off how you want to go about it. For my liking, I'm going to go with quick first step, and this is pretty much the build and how we're going to be working with it today. And again, if you want to change the badges, go ahead and do so based off your own preference. But we get 9 finishing badges, same thing for the shooting, 20 playmaking, and a total of 14 defensive. And again, if you made it to the end, man, thank you so much for your support. God bless you, and just know, coming 2K23, I'm going to be bringing y'all every single build as well as the latest news until the game is dropping. So man, with all that being said, y'all already know what y'all need to do. Be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Turn on post notifications to join the rich family. And let's reach 50 likes on today's video. Now go ahead and comment down below, where did you tune in from today? And with all that being said, man, I got one last thing to say. God bless y'all. Thank you, God. And Rich out.